basil. I've got tons of basil still just going crazy. I've already dehydrated about 2 jars full. So what I'm going to do with this basil is I'm going to ferment it. And you can do a lot of different things with fermented basil, and it's a whole leaf fermented basil. So you're just, take your leaves off the stems, and of course wash it really good, and then kind of let it drip dry, because you don't want water really in there. These are actually dry because they've been sitting in a strainer in the sink for a while. So for every 1/4 pound of basil leaves that you have, you're going to do 1/4 teaspoon of a salt with no iodine in it. You want to lightly mix it because the basil leaves do bruise easily. So you're just going to mix this around. Now with this fermented basil, it gives you can use it in pasta dishes. You can use it in salads. You'll just put a little bit in there. It gives it a great flavor. So I'm going to let this sit for just a few minutes. I've mixed the salt around. And remember, non-iodized. If you have a non-iodized sea salt, that's the best one, because iodine does mess with the fermentation process. So I've mixed the salt in there. I'm going to let this sit for about 3 minutes, and we will be back. Next, what you're going to need is a food processor. You don't want this piece. You just want your blade. And you're going to put your basil and the salt into the food processor, hopefully without making a huge mess, as I am. I think I'm getting more in the countertop than I am in the food processor. Okay, so I'll grind these down just a little bit before I add the rest. So I want to make sure we get all of that salt in there. And you're just going to pulse it to turn it into like a paste. And if it gets stuck on the top, just open it up and kind of push it back down. And you'll see that you're getting liquid right away. I'm going to do a little bit more because you want it like a paste. You don't really want, a little bit of chunks is fine, but you want more of a paste. And then it's probably best to push your sides down in between. That way you can make sure you get all of it into a paste. Now if it doesn't seem to be getting, the liquid that you're going to need to cover it, you can always add a little bit more salt. Just do like sprinkle it a little bit, and I think I'm actually going to add just a little bit more. And this is a non-iodized salt. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit in there. Because this was actually a little bit over 1/4 pound. much better. I wish you guys could smell this. This smells absolutely amazing. You know, and you can kind of push your little thing in there and see if any juice comes up. Okay, I'm going to do it just a little bit more, and then we will go to the next step. So now that it is a paste, you're going to want to get a mason jar. Wide mouth is the easiest. If you don't have wide mouth, that's fine. Just get you a jar. You know, and you can even, that's not salty at all. Ooh, that's yummy. So we're going to put it in a jar. And I have so much basil going, it's ridiculous. So, if I wanted, I could actually go get more basil from the garden to fill this jar. So now what you're going to do is you're going to push it down until you have, can you see the liquid coming up? And you want to push it down until it is completely under the liquid. You do not want any of your basil sitting above liquid. You may need to get a bigger spoon, that way you can push it down even the center. Can you see the liquid coming up? So once it is fully submersed in the brine, because that's what you basically just did, you made a brine, you're going to get a Ziploc baggie. Unless you have the weights. They do make weights for mason jars for when you're fermenting. I don't have any of them. I just use a Ziploc baggie. So let me grab one of those. After everything is submersed in liquid, now this isn't like have a bunch of liquid in it, but it will get more as it starts to ferment. But there is enough liquid in here that it is covering the basil. Put you a Ziploc baggie over it. Like that. And then you're going to fill the baggie. Not all the way, but you're going to put water in it. What that does is that is going to make it to where it's holding, I don't want to pour. It's holding the basil underneath the brine. And I just kind of push it along the sides to make sure that there's no air bubbles like under there. It's going to burp itself anyway. And I don't do this, I don't crank it down, I just kind of put it on there loosely just to hold the baggie in place. But you just put just about this much water in the bag, just enough to hold that down. Now I'm going to store this in a cool, dark place for probably, well, I'll check it daily to make sure it's not growing anything yucky. But for prime flavor, you can do this for 3 days. You can even do it for a week, 2 weeks. It just depends on the taste that you like. So don't be afraid to taste it. I mean, it's just fresh basil. It's not gonna hurt you or anything. So just taste it and see if you like the flavor. Once you do, then you can actually just put an actual lid on this and stick it in the refrigerator, and it'll store in your refrigerator for up to a year. Another thing that you can do with this is a fresh pesto sauce. So you'll just take some of this, you'll add some garlic and some pine nuts, your Romano cheese or your fresh Parmesan, and olive oil, and put it in your food processor, and it makes a fresh pesto sauce. So this is your base for that. You can, and like I said, you can add this to pasta dishes, on pizzas, in salads, anything like that. So that is another thing that you can do with your basil. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hit us up on Instagram, and we'll catch you on the next video.